A master self-defense strategy when you are heavily outnumbered is to do the following. Okay, if alone and you're a very fast runner and a very good fighter, you run fast enough to get rid of the slower people who outnumber you, and you try to outrun their fastest people as well. And the benefit of that is 90% of the time very fast people are rather skinny or don't have the best fighting ability. So the people remaining, say you're getting chased by 8 people, will probably be 2 people at maximum. You may even outrun them all. But let's say it's 1 person. Then all you've got to do is stop. Especially if you know how to box like myself or do taekwondo. Take the person down, keep on running. Because even if you've puffed out, by the time the next person comes, you can have your way with them and so forth. It's the elimination strategy. It's very strategic. And again, it's most useful for a person who is very fast, but also a very able fighter. Yes, for a 120 kilo bloke, I run as fast as a fullback. And I've also got good endurance, believe that or not. So, and I can fight. So it's a benefit for me. And I did use it in my teenage years on one occasion. It was quite funny back in Marylands when we were outnumbered by like 20 people. And there was only like 4 or 5 of us. We actually won that fight. But we were very clever with how we did that. We actually employed that, and it was my idea. But whether you're a teenager or you're doing that now, it works. It wasn't that long ago. Wow. But you outrun them. It's not about tiring them out. It's just outrunning them. Now, let's say they've got weapons. You've got to outrun the weapons anyway, whether you're armed or whether you're not armed or armed. So it really doesn't make much of a difference, because if they are armed, and we're talking about projectiles, not just knives and weapons of that type, because they don't make much of a difference. They're not projectiles. But if they are all armed, it's the same principle. You've got to outrun them and try to not get shot anyway. So it works. It's a very good strategy. You shouldn't stand your ground unless you have to against 8 people. But in general, you should use what area you have, especially if you're good in urban environments like myself. There are obviously sticking it out strategies in terms of being surrounded and having to fight your place. I've got millions of those. I've showed you a few already, and they work. But even once you get out of that close quarter situation of being outnumbered, you should employ that. Because by the time one person finds you, it's one person. You're no longer running away. It's fucked. The tables have turned. It's time to belt the fuck out of this person, and then run again, and hopefully nobody's caught up to me. Now, if you're not alone and you're with 2 or 3 people, and you're still outnumbered by the same people, 8 people, the strategy is to nominate the fastest. It's got to be a perfect balance. It doesn't have to be the fastest runner, but desirably they would be, but they've also got to be a good fighter. So let's just say you had 3 people. 1 was very slow, but 2 were fast. Even though of those 2 fast people, 1 is extremely fast, because they don't know how to fight whatsoever, you'd choose the one who's not as fast as them, but pretty fast, who can also fight very well. So you've just got to make that good decision. So what you'd do is you'd get those 2 people who aren't nominated, and you'd get them to hide somewhere while that 1 person attracts all the attention. Because usually when you're outnumbered by 8 people, they tend to hover around each other unless they've split up. And if they've split up, then that's a good thing for you, because you can take them one at a time. So you keep these in mind. So the strategy works whether the people surrounding you are armed or unarmed. It makes no difference. As a matter of fact, it's probably more relevant if they are armed, and we're talking only about firearms here. Because a person chasing you with a baseball bat is weighed down and unlikely to throw that bat and hit you. So yeah, understand that this, as I explain in nearly every video in terms of the urban survival type application, you're probably not going to use this in a homeless situation. You're probably not even going to use this in a pandemic situation, but in terms of a nuclear holocaust, societal breakdown, war zone, and really bad times in the world, these strategies will help you. So you've probably never heard of this strategy before. Maybe you have, but it's just common sense. When outnumbered and completely hopeless, you choose your fastest runner, your most able runner and best fighter, and you hide everyone else. Or if you're alone, you just do what I said. And if you don't think it works, you're horribly mistaken. Back in 2004, was it 2004? Yep, at the start of 2004, when I was a young teenager, myself, a bloke named Muhammad Weeby, Rabi, I think some other blokes were there, some people from the kebab shop. We got into a fight with one or two blokes. Well, they weren't there at the time. I was with other people, who are other people from the kebab shop that also helped us. We got into a fight, and we belted these two people. I didn't, personally. At the end, I did, when my friends were getting belted. So that was it. I jumped in, and it turned completely. The tables turned completely, and we belted them that badly, which I don't like to say. I'm not proud of it, but that their friends were called up when they were in hospital, and we didn't expect that. We didn't expect them to get to hospital and for all that to happen so quickly. Next thing you know, there were like 20 or 30 very big blokes, all in their early 20s and late teens. Mind you, I was only 14, and some of my older friends were only 17, 18. They surrounded the whole street, or that part of the kebab shop. They were in their cars. The street was full of them, 20, 30 of them. And they were yelling, and we just ran. It was decided instantly, no, we don't stand a chance. Run to Tunto's house, which is what they called this bloke. I fucking didn't know who the fuck he was. Some big nose bloke. Very tall, like 6'5" or something, but fucking massive nose. And we ran, and then we eventually got to this bloke's house in the dark, and they followed us there, but only just. But they didn't know which house we were in. They only followed us in the street, and we were being so quiet. And it was only a matter of time before they worked out what house we were in, because I think somebody parked a car in the wrong place, and we were running. One person had a car. Yeah, that's right. One person had a car, and they must have parked it in front of the house or near the house, or something happened. And we decided it was only a matter of time before someone finds the place. So that was it. That's when I called Weeby and Rabi, and I explained to them how to get in the house without being seen. They got in, and we made that plan, except it wasn't with one person. They all stayed inside, where it was just me and Weeby. Well, apparently Rabi did too, but I think he stayed inside. I do know for a fact that Weeby did this. We just started attracting their attention, and because we were both very fast. He was a taekwondo and mixed martial artist, or I don't think he was a mixed martial artist then, but because I was a pretty good fighter and very strong then, as I am now, even though I was 14, I was nearly 15, it was us two running circles around them, and there was 20 people chasing us, but eventually we got down to one or two, and then it was just kick. Fuck, it was funny. It was him kick this person in the face. It was me punch this bloke in the jaw, one at a time, and eventually they didn't know who was fighting who, and then eventually they were fighting people they didn't know, because we were running through streets, running through bowling club. The bowling club was nearby, and we were taking them through circles, and they were yelling at people they didn't even know, and that was it. They gave up, and then we ran back to the house, and then we evacuated everybody. They managed to get that car clear, and that was it. End of the story. But it works. It actually worked. And the point is, once you've got your last person chasing and you've eliminated that person in terms of neutralizing and not killing the person, that's when you go even further, 500 meters or a K, and you ensure that that's it. there's nobody chasing me. So that is a very, very good strategy for survival if you're outnumbered.